Hey team, Tony here at Stagecoach Pharmacy again, answering another popular question we get here at work at the retail pharmacy. The question is about discount cards, GoodRx, the Walmart $4 list, or other discount programs that other pharmacies happen, why those exist and how those work and how to leverage those to save the most money possible. So I used to work at a big box store that had a $4 and a $10 list at the time. I believe it's now either a $5 and a $12 list, and those medications were sorted out by the disease state, and we were asked to hand this to patients and tell them to take it to their doctors and allow their doctors to pick from this list so they can have more affordable medication. Typically how that worked is this was a list of what we call in our industry loss leaders. So these were medications that you were willing to either break even on or lose a little bit of money on to get patients to start using your pharmacy. And then any medication that was not on that list was something that you could then charge more for. So you would make up for those loss leaders by charging more for other medications that weren't on the list. Typically what would happen is people would go to the doctor, they'd be diagnosed with a new disease state. Commonly it's something like diabetes, blood pressure, high cholesterol. And they would be given a prescription, and then that patient would try to find the cheapest price possible. And as that patient aged or as their disease state progressed, they already had a habit of using a certain pharmacy and they would associate with that particular pharmacy. So these discount lists were a way as a big box pharmacy to get customers to start using the pharmacy. And then as they would start taking other medications, you would make up for the losses on those other medications. I know a popular strategy was certain cough and cold medications were on the list, but these medications were very rarely given by themselves. So we get two medications, one's on the $4 list, and the other medication, which was ordinarily cheap, we would end up charging the patient somewhere between $30 and $40, and that would make up the cost of that loss leading drug. And typically patients were already at the pharmacy when they discovered this, so as a matter of convenience, they would just buy that medication. What we do differently at Stagecoach is we still do those cheap medications and we will compete on price, but we also want to make sure that patients get a more reasonable price on their other medications as well. So just to try and take care of customers as best as we can in whatever methods that we can here at the pharmacy. Sometimes we're not the best price, and when we genuinely think we're not the best price, we tell patients where they can get the best price. We want to take care of people's health in a more encompassing strategy. If people can't afford the healthcare they're getting, that means they're not spending money on their medicine, or they're taking those dollars away from other categories like proper nutrition, maybe it's gym memberships. So our strategy is not necessarily get customers in and then find ways to capitalize on those customers later. It's try to get customers into our pharmacy and treat them as we would want to be treated as patients, with fair pricing. Sometimes the medications that are prescribed may not have a very good price because of market reasons. In those instances, our strategy is to communicate with patients when there's a cheaper alternative that will do the same job. And that's why it's important to go to an independent pharmacy when possible, because generally they're going to have the knowledge and the experience, and most importantly, the time to communicate these things. Big box pharmacies have the ability to do this, but oftentimes their larger volume approach makes it difficult for them to offer the same level of service, and their incentives might be different, or they may not have access to the pricing that an independent pharmacy would have access to. A lot of times pharmacists at independent pharmacies are only shown one particular wholesaler or one channel for buying medication. Here at Stagecoach, we try to act as a broker for customers to help them find medication. And another question related to that we get frequently is discount cards like GoodRx or Simply Save RX. There's several discount cards out there. And the strategy with discount cards typically is to also drive business to your pharmacy. So you're willing to lose on particular drugs to get a certain category of clients to go to your pharmacy, because as they step in and out of coverage or as their disease state progresses, you can similarly turn up the price down the road or charge them more for other medications that they have yet to transfer over to your pharmacy. So it's another loss leader strategy. The only difference I would say is those discount cards sell a portion of your data to other players in the market that might advertise brand name drugs, and they might need to know zip codes that have the highest concentrations of certain disease states. So those discount programs, it's not that we don't accept them here at the pharmacy, it's we try to beat their prices and be competitive without sharing that data or selling that data And I'm not saying selling that data or sharing that data is necessarily wrong. Oftentimes it contributes to other market forces, but that might be another reason to use an independent pharmacy, because if you're going to buy it through their discount program directly and not use a discount program, you're not going to volunteer that data. So the question generally asks, hey, GoodRx or this other discount program has this price. Is that something you can be competitive on? And that's what we encourage customers to ask, because the most important thing is that patients have access to their medication. If they don't have access to their medication, they're not getting treatment. If they're not getting treatment, their health condition tends to decline. So making sure that we find a solution for patients is ultimately the most important thing, and that keeps the most stakeholders in the game. So our strategy is not that discount plans and programs are bad. We want to make sure customers get the best pricing possible, even if that's not with us. So now you know how these discount cards, programs, lists work. And it's not necessarily a novel concept. There's something wrong with them. It does lead to access to care for many customers. It just may not be the best solution long-term or down the road as disease states progress, as things get more complicated, or other disease states accumulate. A lot of patients believe they have to get all their prescriptions with one pharmacy, and that's not necessarily true. If the difference is between going without your medication or only getting some of them and getting them all at one pharmacy, my recommendation is to save money where you can, when you can. Medicine is a commodity. If you don't have to overpay for medicine, there's really no reason that you should be overpaying for medicine. Give us a call here at Stagecoach Pharmacy. We serve mostly Central Texas. And even if you want to ask us if this is a competitive price, we do that a lot. So if there's a pharmacy you can talk to, and you can reach out to them and say, hey, am I getting a competitive price on this medication? And you feel like they can be honest with you and say, yes, stay where you're at, or no, we can certainly do better. It never hurts to ask that question. Your medication's price is not necessarily fixed, so it doesn't hurt to shop around. Take care, team.